All right, today we're going to be creating a value scale. A value scale is simply a scale that goes from light to dark. In order to create a value scale, you're going to have to measure a 1 inch by 7 inch rectangle and center it on your piece of paper. I need to make sure that you know how to measure before we begin that. So we're going to be looking at a standard ruler. Okay, standard ruler is a 1/16 of an inch scale. That means from 0 to 1, there are 16 little marks in between there. So what that looks like if we were to blow that up. Right here I've drawn out a 1/16 of an inch scale. That means you have the 0 at one end. Each mark, okay, is a 16th. So we have 1/16, 2/16, 3/16, 4/16, all the way down to 16/16. So what that makes, a 16/16 can be reduced and it makes it 1 inch. Looking at a ruler, okay, you can divide it into sections. So halfway, or 8/16, can actually divide it in half to make a 1/2 of an inch. If you look at it, okay, a 0 is a longer line. Each 16th here is a little bit shorter, and then a 1/4 of an inch gets a little bit longer, goes back down to shorter increments, and then even longer for a 1/2 an inch, goes back down to shorter increments. A little bit longer gives you 3/4 of an inch, goes back to smaller scale, and then the longest is 16/16, which is 1 inch. So looking at a ruler, okay, you have all of those. A little bit smaller, goes to a little bit longer, and so on. It helps you to divide up the ruler. That same process repeats into every inch. However, rather than saying a 1/4 of an inch here, it would be 1 1/4, because you've gone past the 1 inch mark. Okay. That same increment over here would be 2 1/4. So everything is divided into 16ths. So we're going to begin by creating a 1 inch by 7 inch value scale. So think of it like a rectangle, and it's going to be divided into 1 inch sections. To do that, it's a simple math problem. Okay. Our piece of paper, I'm going to tell you, is 6 inches tall. Okay. If we have a 6-inch piece of paper, and we want to center a 1 inch rectangle, okay, we're going to actually subtract the 1 inch rectangle, and that will equal 5 inches. Right. Your rectangle is going to have a border at the top and a border at the bottom. So 2 borders, we're going to divide that by 2, which equals 2 1/2. And this is what you're going to do. You're going to take your ruler and you're going to line it up on the left side of the paper and line your 0 up with the top of the paper. And you're going to measure down 2 1/2 inches and make a little hash mark. And the hash mark goes in the direction we're drawing. Since we're drawing to the right, we're going to make it a horizontal hash mark. We want 1 inch value scale. So I'm just going to measure down 1 inch, and that will make it 3 1/2 inches. So those are my hash marks for my top of my rectangle and my bottom of my rectangle. In order to get a straight line, I need to do that again on the right side of the paper. So I'm going to slide my ruler over, and I'm going to measure from the same side. So I started at the top to measure on my left side. I'm going to start at the top to measure on my right side. And I'm going to measure again at 2 1/2 inches, and again at 3 1/2 inches. So I have 2 sets of hash marks, and I'm going to line my ruler up horizontally, and I'm going to connect those lines to draw a straight line. I am not drawing super dark because I'm going to end up erasing some things. So there I have, okay, the top and the bottom of my value scale that is centered right in the middle of my paper. Now to get all of the side increments to it, right, I'm going to do a math problem again. I know that my width of my paper is 9 inches. Okay. And my overall value scale is going to be 7 inches, so I'm going to subtract 7 inches. That equals 2 inches. I have a border on the left and a border on the right, so that makes 2 borders. I'm going to divide that by 2, and that equals 1 inch. So my side borders are going to be 1 inches. Because I'm going to divide it into 7 boxes, I'm going to do all my measuring at once for all of those lines. So this is what I'm going to do. I'm going to line my ruler up at the top, line your 0 with the edge of the paper, and I'm going to first make my 1 inch, which is my border, and then I'm going to create a 7-inch rectangle. So I'm going to count 7 inches over. 7 inches over will take me all the way to the 8-inch mark. And I should have left over approximately 9 inches. My paper may end up being a little bit shorter than 9, but it's close enough. While I have my ruler here, I'm going to measure every inch for my dividing line. So I'm going to make a mark at the 2-inch, the 3-inch, 4-inch, 5-inch, 6-inch, and 7-inch. Now I'm going to do the same thing down at the bottom. I'm going to line my 0 up with the edge of the paper, and then I'm going to measure at the 1-inch, 2-inch, 3-inch, 4-inch, 5-inch, 6-inch, 7-inch, and 8-inch. Right. And then I'm going to line my ruler up, and I'm going to start on the right side and line up my 2 hash marks. But this time I'm only going to draw a line in between my 2 horizontal lines. And I'm going to slide my ruler over and do the same. I don't want to be drawing more lines than what I need, because all it'll cause me to do is have to erase. When I'm done, I'm going to have a value scale that measures 1 inch tall by 7 inches wide, and it's going to be divided into 7 1-inch squares. And I can erase my guidelines on the right and the left because I don't need them. Okay. When I'm all done, all I'm going to do is shade. I'm going to use the side of my pencil. And I'm going to start with white in the first box, so I'm not going to shade anything. And then with the side of my pencil, I'm going to very lightly fill in this whole square. And then as I go to the right, I'm going to get darker. And each square to the right is going to get darker and darker until the very last box, which is going to be solid black. Right. And this is what it looks like when it is finished. When you are all done, you're going to put your name on it, turn it into the basket.